Kylie had always been an adventurous person. She loved going on long hikes in the woods, exploring abandoned buildings, and doing anything that gave her a rush of adrenaline. But one day, her thirst for adventure would lead her down a path she could never have imagined. It was a warm summer evening when Kylie decided to take a walk in the park near her house. The sun was just beginning to set, casting an orange glow across the sky. As she made her way through the park, she noticed a man sitting on a bench nearby. He was bald and dressed in all black, which struck Kylie as odd given the heat. She tried to avoid eye contact with the man, but as she passed him, he suddenly stood up and grabbed her by the arm. Kylie struggled to break free, but the man was surprisingly strong. He pulled her into the nearby woods, where he had set up a makeshift camp. Kylie was horrified as she realized what was happening. The man had a dark and sinister look in his eyes. She knew she had to escape before it was too late, but it was no use. The man had tied her up and left her there, alone in the woods. Kylie struggled to break free, but the ropes were too tight. She was trapped, with no way to call for help. Days turned into weeks, and Kylie began to lose hope. She had seen and heard things that no one should ever have to witness. She had heard the screams of other victims and smelled the stench of death. The bald man had kidnapped and killed so many people, and Kylie was just another one of his victims. She knew that her chances of survival were slim, but she refused to give up. And so she waited, hoping for a chance to escape. But the bald man was always watching, always waiting for the perfect moment to strike. As the weeks turned into months, Kylie began to feel herself slipping away. She was tired, hungry, and scared. She had lost all hope of ever being rescued. But little did she know, help was on the way. Someone had finally discovered the bald man's hideout, and they were coming to save her. But would it be too late? Would Kylie be able to escape before the bald man took her life just like he had done to so many others before her? As Kylie lay tied up in the bald man's makeshift camp, she heard something in the distance. It was the sound of footsteps approaching, getting louder and louder with each passing moment. She couldn't believe it. After all this time, someone had finally come to rescue her. Kylie's heart raced with hope and fear, unsure of what to expect. The footsteps grew closer and closer until they were right outside the camp. Kylie heard voices, muffled at first, but then getting clearer as the rescuers approached. "Hello? Is anyone there?" one of them shouted. Kylie tried to respond, but her voice was weak from days without food or water. She managed to let out a faint cry for help, hoping it would be enough to get their attention. "Over here," she heard someone else shout, and then she saw them. A team of police officers and FBI agents, all armed and ready to take down the bald man and rescue his victims. The bald man had been on their radar for years, but he had always managed to evade capture. He was smart, cunning, and always one step ahead of the law, but this time they had him cornered. They had tracked him to this remote location in the woods, and they were ready to take him down once and for all. The bald man didn't stand a chance against the team of trained professionals. They stormed his camp, guns drawn, and within minutes, they had him handcuffed and under arrest. Kylie was in shock. She couldn't believe that she was finally free. She had survived weeks in the woods, trapped by a madman who had killed so many others before her. But somehow, she had made it out alive. The rescuers helped Kylie to her feet and began to untie her from the ropes. She was weak and disoriented, but she felt a sense of relief wash over her. She was finally safe. As the rescuers worked to free the other victims, Kylie couldn't help but think about the horrors she had witnessed. The bald man had killed so many innocent people, and she had been lucky enough to escape with her life. But the nightmare wasn't over yet. As the team of rescuers made their way out of the woods, Kylie couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. It was as if they were being watched, followed by an unseen presence, and then she saw him, the bald man standing in the shadows, watching them as they walked away. Kylie couldn't believe it. How had he escaped? Had the rescuers not done their job properly? Was he still out there, waiting to strike again? As they made their way back to civilization, Kylie's fear grew with each passing moment. She didn't feel safe, even with the rescuers by her side. She knew that the bald man was still out there, lurking in the shadows, waiting for his next victim. Days turned into weeks, and Kylie tried to put the ordeal behind her. She went back to her normal routine, trying to forget the horror she had experienced in the woods. But she couldn't shake the feeling that she was being watched. Every time she walked down the street, she felt as if someone was following her. Every time she turned a corner, she expected to see the bald man waiting for her. And then one night, she heard a noise outside her window. It was a faint tapping, almost like someone was trying to get her attention. Kylie was paralyzed with fear. She knew that the bald man had found her. She knew that this was it. This was the end. As she slowly made her way to the window, her heart racing with terror, she saw him. The bald man standing outside her house, staring up at her with his cold, dead eyes. Kylie tried to scream, but no sound came out. She felt like she was trapped in a nightmare, unable to wake up no matter how hard she tried. And then the bald man spoke. His voice was low and menacing, sending shivers down Kylie's spine. "I told you I'd find you," he said. "I always keep my promises." Kylie's mind raced, trying to come up with a plan. She knew that she had to get out of there, but she was frozen with fear. But then she remembered something. Something that the FBI agent had told her before they parted ways. "Remember, if you ever feel like you're in danger, call us immediately. We'll be there to help you." Kylie fumbled for her phone, her hands shaking with fear. She dialed the emergency number and waited for someone to pick up. "Hello, this is 911. What's your emergency?" "I need help," Kylie whispered. "The bald man is outside my house. He's going to kill me." "Stay calm," the operator said. "We're sending someone to help you. Just stay on the line with me." Kylie waited, her heart pounding in her chest. She could hear the bald man outside, trying to break in. And then she heard it. The sound of sirens in the distance, getting closer and closer. The bald man heard it too. He looked up at Kylie, his face contorted in anger. "You think you're so smart," he said, "but you can't outrun me. You can't hide from me. I'll always be one step ahead of you." Kylie knew that he was lying. She knew that the rescuers would be there any second, and the bald man would be arrested for good this time. But she couldn't help the fear that still gripped her. The fear that he would somehow escape again and come back for her. And then she saw the flashing lights outside. The sound of police sirens filled the air, drowning out the bald man's threats. Kylie felt a sense of relief wash over her. She had made it out alive again. She had survived the nightmare. If you liked this video, make sure to give it a like, and do not forget to hit the subscribe button.